That critical thinking is missing, and when you brainwash people with baseball, cricket, Bollywood, Hollywood, if you watch Bollywood, you would think that people in India only dance and sing and do nothing else. And they only dance and sing in Hindi. That's the only language in India. They all dress up exactly the same way, as if there is no cultural diversity in India. It's going on year after year after year after year after year. So a new generation grows up without knowing what diversity is all about. They think that this is India. You dance in this very funny way, you sing in a very funny way, and you make love in a very funny way, and you kiss but you don't kiss. It's very strange. It's really very strange. And that's India today. You talk to anybody outside of this educated audience. Have you ever seen an Indian movie? Yeah, Bollywood. They have no clue that there's an incredible history of progressive Indian movies. Very powerful wave of Indian cinema. Nobody knows. You talk to anybody in India, what do you think of black people? 95% of them will say that blacks are criminals. Blacks are thugs. Blacks are antisocial. If you ask them, how do you know? Well, I see that on TV all the time. That is how it is portrayed. Same with Muslims. It has come to a point where corporations, their interviewing committees, would look at somebody's resume, and if it's a Muslim name, he would not even be called for an interview, regardless of how educated and how intelligent that applicant is. Isn't that extremism? That's cultural extremism. That's social extremism. Then we can talk about economic extremism. We can talk about environmental extremism. We can talk about media's extremism. We can talk about political extremism, where there are two parties. There is democracy. If you do not like the Republicans, then you can always vote for the Democrats. Even though Dianne Feinstein and Chuck Schumer are cajoling up with Trump, with help from New York Times. So I went to this famous journalism school. They call them number one, self-styled number one. That's a different story. I don't even know how they do it or why they do it, but they do it. So I went there for my journalism degree. So at that time, I actually had the very strange desperation to bring Noam Chomsky to speak to us. So he came. That was really my first association with that man. So he immediately talked about New York Times and Judith Miller, if you remember that name, who was the fabricator of the WMD stories. And with that one story repeated week after week after week, they actually legitimized one of the most brutal genocides in history. No extremism. What happened to Judith Miller? What happened to New York Times? Nothing. Judith Miller got this slap on her wrist, got transferred, and started working for Fox. Yeah, go check it out. And New York Times is as powerful as ever before. Nothing happens to them. I talk to elite liberals in Park Slope, and they all read New York Times with their hands folded. as if they're like really worshiping God. If I tell somebody, well, like Fox is bad, it's owned by Rupert Murdoch, okay, and Post is bad, it's owned by the same person, and like Rush Limbaugh is bad, he's like a fascist. We all know that. But that's only half of the story. The other half is New York Times and CNN and Washington Post that nobody talks about. Think about it. I'm posing some questions for you. So, my father died, and then he was a quote-unquote right-wing. He was actually one of the biggest supporters of Modi, believe it or not. And I was a member of their social organization, almost like, I don't want to compare it, but it's like really almost like KKK. And I was with them for 15 years of my life. Okay, don't hate me yet. I was with them because of my father. Then I came out of it and started talking against it. I wrote a book against it and then tried to expose them as much as I could. The point is that I'm shifting here to like a different part of the discussion, that is the coalition discussion. But before I do that, I would like to have your permission to show you some slides, because I think I have spoken for a long time, and it's time to show you some slides real quick, not because I believe in slides showing too much, but some of them might be a little important to highlight, to underline some of the things that I was talking about, okay? So, this is like really a very vast and extensive discussion. And Charlotte has very kindly given me 30 to 40 minutes to speak, but like this is, if you will, really should be considered as the start of a very big discussion. And I hope that at some point we can continue this discussion in like a series of discussions, okay? 1, 2, extremism, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we can all participate in that discussion, okay? Because, and honestly, those of us, all of us here, we call ourselves progressive and pro 99%. We need to have our own media. We need to have our own entertainment. We need to have our own literature. Having our own literature is extremely important, done in a very easy to understand, ear to the ground way. Without ever undermining the importance of academic literature. That's extremely important, but for people, in 1984, George Orwell classified a group of people, he called them proles. Probably it came from proletariats, I don't know. But for the proles out there, without undermining their knowledge, without undermining their life's experience, we need to have a language that they can understand. It's extremely critically important, whether you talk about Islamophobia, whether you talk about anti-immigrant bashing, whether you talk about data, immigrant children being forced out, deported for no crimes that they have committed. They grew up in this country. 800,000 of them. When you talk about Union bashing, labor union bashing, when you talk about corporate greed, how the 1%, not even 1%, 0.1% of the American people now have amassed 90% of the country's wealth. Think about it. 0.1% of the American people now have wealth that equals to the other 90% of the people of this country. That's not extremism. What are you talking about? For all of these things, I think we need to create our own literature. We need to create our own media. We need to create our own entertaining, fun way to reach people. And we definitely need to find some type of a cross-cultural solidarity across the pro-99% spectrum. And so I'm going to show you just a few slides, and then maybe we can have some time for Q&A. Yeah. All right. Okay. So let me just show you some slides real quick. Okay, just to highlight some of my points. Here is one. So this is a slide that I show to my labor union students all the time, religiously, practically every single year. What it has done is that there are two social scientists named Wilkinson and Pickett from England. They have written a book called The Spirit Level. It came out back in 2010. And it has done only one thing. It has compared income inequality in developed capitalist countries. Developed capitalist countries, okay, France, Germany, USA, Canada, Japan, Sweden, Switzerland, and so on. All right? And it has compared income inequality directly against social and health problems, one problem at a time. Some of these social and health problems are life expectancy, math and literacy, infant mortality, homicide, imprisonment, and so on and so forth, obesity, and so on. So they have compared income inequality of those countries against social and health problems of those countries, one problem at a time. And then they have put all the social and health problems together, lumped them together, and compared them against this one factor, which is income inequality. And this is what they found. The countries that are at the lower end of the graph, they are Sweden, Japan, Norway, Finland, Belgium, those. That's the first tier of countries. That means they have a lowest possible income inequality, even though they are all capitalist countries. So there cannot be complete income equality. That is impossible in a capitalist country. It's all right. And then we have a middle tier of countries such as Greece, Ireland, France, and Canada, and Australia, Italy. That's the middle tier of countries where they have a middle amount of income inequality and consequently a middle amount of social and health problems. And on top, way on top, is the United States. That means we have the highest amount of income inequality among the rich capitalist countries, and consequently, a direct consequence is that we have the highest amount of social and health problems because of the income inequality. Well, people get confused. Some of them get angry. What are you talking about? We are the best. We are the best, we are the best, we are the best. Isn't that what we hear 24/7 on media? So if we show this graph to some people the first time, if they're not this highly educated and intelligent Brooklyn for Peace audience, they would be really upset and angry, and some of them might actually beat me up. Honest. Seriously. But this is the fact. This is the fact. Okay? Now, I went to India and had a chance to talk to TV there, and I had a Bengali interview. And then I talked about how in America, McDonald's and KFC and Burger King and Popeyes and those places are like really, they have some of the worst food possible and toxic. And they can be found concentrated in the impoverished communities only. You go to Crown Heights, you go to East Flatbush, you go to South Bronx, you find clusters of fast food places. But in India, going to McDonald's is hip. You go to McDonald's for dinner, you must be rich. That is how people think about American food, without ever trying to understand how bad they are. They don't know anything about the food movement. When I talk about Parksville Food Co-op, they're like, what are you talking about? Food movement? So what do? You eat food and move? That is how people's minds are completely propagandized. Anything from America must be great, including McDonald's and KFC. No questions asked. Anything from Hollywood must be great, no matter how violent and obnoxious it is. Blacks are all criminals. Immigrants are all illegal and therefore must be kicked out. Very strange. And in India, there is exactly a very strikingly similar political landscape right now. Anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant, anti-poor, and on top of that, add anti-woman crimes. Extremely dangerous situation for women in India. You wouldn't even believe it. It's not just violence on the street, it's violence at home. Nobody even considers that violence. It is taken for granted. If you are a man and if you are the head of the family, then you have a right to slap your wife from time to time. It's okay. You can take all her money. That's okay. You can deprive her of pursuing her career, even though she is a very highly educated person, a musician or a lawyer. After marriage, they can't work. It's okay. Marital rape is okay. I'm not even talking about bride burning and dowry deaths. I'm not even talking about that. I'm not talking about female infanticide that happens all across the country every single day. I'm not even talking about that. You talk about one most grotesque human rights violation in the world today, that's anti-woman violence in India. I get very emotional talking about it, and I talk to people all the time. I can tell you stories, and I think that one of the things I want to emphasize is that every single slide, every single graph, every single statistic must be accompanied with a human story. And that human story is missing from our discussion. So let me just show you some slides real quick. long discussion, and one night, one evening cannot really do justice to it. There is Hindu fanatics that are in power in India right now. Guess what? I was with them for a very long time. This is what they did. It's a fact. It's not a fabrication. It's fact. Their men killed Mahatma Gandhi. I'm not a big fan of Mahatma Gandhi, but that's a different story. But they killed Mahatma Gandhi. It's a fact. All right? Here is, don't just blame the Hindu fanatics. This is happening next door. Right next door. Islamic extremism. What they did, on top of the fact that they have really subjugated women a big way, in a very secular and very liberal, you wouldn't even believe it how liberal that country is. They killed their founder, nation's founder, Mujibur Rahman, back in 1975, and almost his entire family was wiped out. All supported by Kissinger and CIA. It's a fact. Kissinger was directly responsible for the massacre and genocide in Bangladesh in 1971 when they had their 9-month-long liberation struggle. Some 10 million people were killed in 9 months, and by some accounts, 300,000 women were raped. Journalism of exclusion, not too many people know about it. Okay? These people were responsible for it. If you please turn off your cell phone, much appreciated. Economic terror. I claim this land in the name of His Majesty. That was the call, the slogan back in those days. Right hand side, I structurally adjust this land in the name of economic growth. Neoliberal terror. Exactly the same thing. Looting, plundering, ravaging, squandering, killing, maiming, torturing, raping, deforestation, you name it. Same thing is going on in the name of capitalism, development, and prosperity. IMF and World Bank and Wall Street are behind it. What is the result of that? Here is the result. Actual distribution of wealth in the United States. I'm just talking about the United States. So 1% has so much wealth that you cannot even show it on the graph. You need 10 different stacks of graphs. You put them one on top of the other. That is the extent of their wealth. This is not extremism. I'm not saying that everybody should make exactly the same amount of money. But where is the sanity? Where is the control? Where is the regulation? I don't know how many slides I can show you. They are all okay. Maybe here. What's happening in other parts of the world? 24th of April 2014 in Dhaka, Bangladesh. This building that housed Disney, Walmart, Gap, Mango. I don't even know the names, maybe my daughter can tell you. The entire building collapsed, instantly killing 1,200 workers. Corporate greed. Apple iPhone suicides in China. People are so overworked, so tired, so frustrated, so desperate, so impoverished, so hopeless, they jump to their death. Now they have put big wires so that they cannot kill themselves. iPhone manufacturers, we all have an iPhone. Okay? Not extremism. All right. Maybe just a couple of more. Sorry, this is true. This is real. This is happening today. Monsanto suicides in India. Every 30 minutes, I heard this on Democracy Now! From Amy. Every 30 minutes, a farmer is killing himself in India because of desperation created by Monsanto.